Well, as you can see, I have the hood off. I have smoothed out my ram air intake exhaust area, whatever you call it. I smoothed that all out. Used some Duraglass and then just kind of filled in some pinholes and everything from the Duraglass and sanded the whole underside of the hood, fixed some iffy spots. I didn't go too crazy underneath the hood because this thing is a total piece of crap. I had to do a thing yesterday where I needed to roll the windows down so that I could prep the car, which I've totally done. It's all sanded in 320. Got to do my edges. Fixed a hail damage on the hood there. Looked like that was the only spot. Fixed some dings and whoops that are in the driver's side quarter panel. Deck lid was in good shape. Like I said, I still got to do my edges. Took my door handles off. I got those sanded and prepped. Just got to scuff the spots I couldn't get to with sandpaper. I had to roll the windows up so that I could get to the door handles and take them off. I got the quarter panel lines fixed. They look pretty good. I'm sure I'm gonna block them and find out that I'm not happy with them, but for now, for getting them into the first coat of primer, I think they look pretty good. Had some broken paint in here, so I got that all sanded. Had that scratch that was way up here, so that's all sanded out. I have the door jamb all sanded down to 150. I need to pop that rocker cover off so that I can paint behind it, underneath of it, so it looks a little bit better. It's always better when you basically disassemble the whole car. I took off the trim piece that goes around here on the other side so that I get a little bit better paint job out of it. This thing actually had the quarter panel had been painted before. I couldn't find any reason that it was painted. Maybe I couldn't find where the bumper had been replaced or anything like that. So the only thing I can think of is maybe it had a ding in it or something, or a scratch or something like that. Maybe it was a factory repaint that they did right in when the car was still in the factory, and they just had to do that, and then they spotted it up to here. They actually spotted it up to about here. You can see, I don't know if you can, there, right there. You can see where they blended the clear coat right there, right in here where it gets dull, and then it gets shiny again, and then dull again. That's where they blended the clear. I don't know why you wouldn't have taken it all the way to here. You're not talking that much more prep, and it would have been a better job, but you know, details. So I had not heard this thing run since I put the full-length headers and X-pipe and all that stuff on, and I was just dying to hear what this thing sounded like yesterday. So I'm gonna start it again because this thing sounds badass. It's gonna be loud because there is no mufflers. I just want you guys to hear it. It's really loud. As soon as it warms up a little bit, it'll drop off. cams. Open. That sounds good. Can't wait to get this thing done and get it driven. Can't wait to drive it. Oh yeah, I took the rear bumper off. I got a California special bumper I'm putting on. So I've got whole engine compartment basically prepped for primer. I got to prime those spots over there where I welded a new panel in. And I got some spots underneath there. And then I want to kind of prime the rest of the body. I've got the hood set up. I just got it leaning against the garage door right now. I'm going to throw some plastic up and I'm going to do like one good wet coat underneath. Let that flash off good so it's not sticky anymore. And then I'm going to flip the hood around on its edge, and then I'm going to prime the whole outside of the hood with as many coats as I can put on it. I think that's going to be the best route to go. The rest of the car I'm just going to tape off. I'm going to plastic off the whole engine as much as I can get to protect it from any overspray or anything like that. And then like the plastic I just got that from Home Depot. It's just regular plastic. It doesn't really matter because it's going to get thrown away again anyways. I'm going to basically throw the plastic around the engine, and then I'm going to plastic off the whole back half of the car, and then I can just cut out around the areas that I need to prime, like the spot on the roof, and then there's nothing to prime on the trunk lid, deck lid, boot lid. There's nothing to prime there, so I can just tape that off and leave that all covered. I have both quarter panels have, obviously the passenger side's got primer spots, and inside the jamb I've got nothing inside the jamb here, nothing on the door that needs to be done. It's just 320 grit sanded there. I have several spots on the quarter panel on the driver's side, and then I've got the fender here. That fender is of course brand new, so it doesn't need any primer. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting ready to plastic everything off, and hopefully it shouldn't take too awful long. I don't have a tape machine to work with, so I'm kind of just doing stuff all by hand, all manually. And this is like this plastic works pretty good for what I'm doing, but the automotive grade stuff is definitely a lot better because I like how it unfolds from the center and comes out. This stuff all unfolds from one side and folds out, so it's kind of a pain to work with. It probably works great for like construction stuff you're doing, where you like it says right here, tape there, and what you do is you tape there and then you just pull it out. But I just have the towels and stuff laying around the engine so that I can keep the dust off of it, which probably isn't a big deal, but keeps all my new stuff looking new. I saw a video on YouTube, and it was an actual business YouTube, and guy owns Guy owns a shop. He's running a shop. And after he had all his body work done, he would pull his cars outside and then wash them with raw body filler showing and raw metal and all this stuff showing. And he would pull it outside and he would wash it. And that is the most cringeworthy thing I've ever watched on a YouTube channel. No, there's plenty of cringeworthy stuff on there, but that was probably one of the most cringeworthy things I'd saw recently on a YouTube channel. The main ingredient in body filler, talcum powder. Talc is one of the main ingredients for any filling, body filler, Bondo, any of those things. It's talcum powder. Look on your cans, you'll see talcum powder. What does talcum powder do? It sucks up moisture, which is why generally you're supposed to spray a coat of sealer down, epoxy primer, before you put your body filler over top, and that gives you an extra layer of protection. Years and years ago, we as body guys and paint guys ran into a lot of issues with epoxy primer not sticking well. We were told stuff like you didn't have to sand or scuff the epoxy, you could just put the body filler over top of it. We had a lot of issues with that stuff not working out great. So I still do stuff that way instead of the new way with putting epoxy down and then doing your body work over top of it and then spraying your primer, sealer, your high build 2K primer over top of that. I still kind of fight with doing it that way just because I realize technology has gone forward, but I still don't do it that way. Right, wrong, or indifferent, this is the way I do it. You can like it or you can hate it. How we did plastic in body shops was we would throw the plastic down and then we would run a razor blade around all the areas that we were going to be throwing paper down and priming so that you didn't have any wrinkles in your plastic, because wrinkles can collect overspray and can cause dirt, especially with even with paper. The paper masking paper, we always used to tape down all the wrinkles in your paper because they collect dust. You know, when you're spraying your paint, primer, sealer, anything, it'll collect right there. And then as soon as you hit your trigger with your gun, you can dislodge that dry overspray and it'll get in your paint job. With the primer, it's not quite as big of a deal because I gotta sand all of it down anyways. I'm only gonna shoot on these. On these spots, these were all rock chips, and I just went ahead and just sanded them. I'm probably only going to do maybe 2 coats on them. The main spots that I'm worried about is the body filler spots. So those are the spots I'm going to do multiple coats on. Kind of come up with some creative ways of taping stuff off here because I got a spot underneath there I got to prime too. Usually you would get your tape applied to your paper. But I don't have one of them machines, so I'm just doing it the really slow way. Leave you a little curly cue of tape sticking off. It makes it easier to grab. You don't have to dig for it every time. Most of this, when I have the tape backed out like that, it's probably overkill to tape over top of it too, but this is called a rolled taped edge. What I did was I back taped along this panel, this channel here. And what I'm going to do, I pull it down, gives me a soft edge. I'll take a little piece of tape, pull it back. Doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to work. You do it that way. I have to spray right here, so I want to make sure that I'm not letting overspray get inside that channel. I only want to sand that channel one time because it's going to be a pain in the ass to do. So that'll keep the overspray out of the channel. Give me a soft edge. And this should only need tire, I'd probably get away. It's so nice and smooth. I could probably get away with just one good thick wet coat of primer, but I'm probably going to do 2. And I'm doing that rolled edge all along the plastic here. And I'm not spraying out to the edge. I'm not spraying out to the edge. I'm just, it's going to get some overspray there, so I just don't want it to be a hard edge. Technically, this part here is your C-pillar, or it's also called a sail panel. But C-pillar, obviously B-pillar, A-pillar is your always your pillar where your windshield sits. B-pillar is usually right behind the driver's and past your front doors. That's your B-pillar. This would be your C-pillar, technically. But actually this, because it's a 2-door car, this is actually called sail panel. And this is a quarter panel. This is a fender. Fenders are bolt-on. Quarter panels are not bolt-on. They're weld-on. Classic cars, you know, all the way up into the early 50s had rear fenders. Rear fenders bolted on to your quarter panel, and that's what covered your wheel. So technically, if this, say, was a 51, I don't know, a 49 Ford or whatever, and it had rear fenders, this would be technically the rear fender, and this would be a bolt-on part. That would be your quarter panel. So cars used to have rear fenders. They don't anymore. That is always a quarter panel. That's a fender. Here, a lot of people call the rear quarter panels the rear fenders, and that's not correct. That's a quarter panel. That's a fender. Sorry, I didn't bring you along when I was back taping, but that's what I'm going to do with the edge of the door here, or where the edge of the door is. Even if the primer builds up on the very edge there, not a huge deal. And then I back taped that spot right there for that primer spot there. I'm going to I think I'm going to use plastic. I've got tons of plastic, so I think I'm going to do plastic on the rims and tires all the way around. I think that'll just be easier. I'm even going to do the one that's over there on the front passenger side. I don't think I'm going to get close enough to it to be bothered with hurting anything, but the trick with masking a car off with newspaper is, oh, my beer is going crazy today. The trick with masking off a car with newspaper is grab the shiny circulars and coupon things, use that to tape off your car with, because regular newsprint clear coat sucks through it, and you'll have a real mess on your hands when you see that it's soaked up all that clear coat and has stuck to whatever panel you're trying to tape off. So the trick is to get the glossy paper. The glossy paper, and have that around all the areas. You know, like say I'm going to use newsprint newspaper here. The trick is you can use the newspaper but border it with the shiny paper, the glossy paper, because that will keep it from soaking through. the glossiness of the paper. I think it's like I'm not sure if it's a wax coating they put on that or what they put on that, but that works really well. Don't want any overspray on my GT500 rims. Well, as you can see, I have the whole engine compartment prepped. I just got to finish taping off all the stuff inside there, using a lot of aluminum foil to help with that. I'm going to tape off all the nuts and stuff because they're not supposed to be painted. I took out all the little plastic plugs and everything from the firewall, and I took the top panel and the wiper arms off. I did one shot of primer, or one round of primer on the inside of the hood. I think I did two good wet coats, and then just sanded it with 320, and then I still got one spot I gotta sand, but I filled a bunch of pinholes and just terrible looking stuff, but I'm not gonna go too crazy on it. If I saw something that was pretty bad, like a pretty bad hole in the fiberglass, I filled it, and I tried to do a lot of the spots down the front of the hood where you'd see it more often when you lift the hood up. So I did them. I spent more time on them, and then on the edges of the hood. The rest of the spots that I primed, I have blocked them with 150, so they're ready for another coat of primer. That's all ready for another coat of primer to do the 320 or 400 wet if you want, but I'm going to do 320. Got this whole side all blocked out with 150. I'm still ran into some issues with the body lines and stuff, so I used some tape and taped one side of the body line and straightened them out. They look a lot better now. And I had a little spot right here that was a low spot. I think it was a stamping issue. I don't think it was anything from the accident, but I went ahead and smoothed that out and filled it. So it's ready for another coat of primer. It's down to 150, so it should be good for another coat of primer. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime these spots when I shoot sealer on that and the underneath of the hood and the fender jams. I have not figured out right now how I'm going to set all this stuff up to be able to paint the jams. I don't have enough fast clear right now to do all the jams, so I'm going to do the engine compartment and the fenders and underneath the hood today, and then I think I'll be able to have enough to do like the front edge of the front jam of the doors, and then I'll just open up the doors when I'm painting the actual car, the outside of the car, and then I'll just open the doors and do it that way. That way I'll get a little bit better job out of it too. I won't have any tape lines inside the jams, which I kind of hate. The trunk lid, inside the trunk lid, I may end up just doing that after the fact, after it gets painted, because I don't have enough room to really get back there good. I can only get back there from that side of the garage. This side I've got my dirt bike sitting there, so it kind of takes up space. And some of the stuff that I can't get to with the paint, afterwards I'll just crawl underneath the car and black out anything that I couldn't get to. I just wanted the engine compartment, when you lift the hood, I wanted the engine compartment to be the same color as the car, because that's technically how it came from the factory. But anything that you can't see from standing up here, I'm going to try and just, I'm not going to try, I'm going to black it out once it's all said and done, and that should be fine. Like most of the stuff, like battery sits right there, so a bulk of that you're not going to see or barely see it. The fuse box and the ECM all sit right here, so a lot of that's covered. The cold air intake, or your intake, your air filter sits right here, so you're not going to see a lot of that. You'll see the shock towers and stuff like that, and I'm going to tape off all these nuts and screws and pack some paper up inside there so it doesn't look so bad. I don't like having paint where it doesn't, not supposed to be. It's going to be tedious taping all this stuff off though. Well, I finally got the hood in its first coat of prime. Yeah, top side of the hood, by the way, obviously. And what you're seeing is pinholes. There are so many pinholes in this hood, and I'm still seeing more. I see a couple right there, a couple more right there. Yeah, there are a lot of pinholes, and not all of these are from my body filler. A lot of these are fiberglass pinholes, because you know the hood was such good quality. So I'm gonna I filled all the ones that I could find. Still seeing more, and I'm gonna take care of them in the first block. I have some louvers that aren't quite right that I'm gonna have to fix. Mostly on the passenger side. Driver side louvers aren't too terrible. The holes, they're not great. Again, such a fine quality hood. I had to, last night, before I primed, I started looking at this section here, and it still is a little low in the center here, but not nearly as bad as it was. It was way low right here, and my body line actually shrunk quite a bit and then grew back out again because, you know, quality. So I had to totally reshape this whole centerpiece here and shape this part here so that it was a lot closer to being right. And I think it's going to be good enough. I probably have anywhere between 40 and 80 hours in this hood to get it to this point. I'm not even done yet. So there is a ton of blocking I got to do. My body line in the center isn't quite straight, so I'm going to have to block that straight. I'm sure I'm going to run into more pinholes that I'm not seeing. I'm seeing a couple right here. I'm sure there's going to be more pinholes. I think I put 4 coats of high build primer on it last night, 2K primer. And like I'm seeing areas like right here, it gets thin right there and then gets big. At this point, I'm just going to go with it. I'm not overly enthused about how good this hood was or how bad it was. So I'm just going to start blocking it, get it to a relatively decent look, and maybe some of this stuff won't be evident once it's blocked. I don't know. I'm sure part of it is because I'm so close to the project that I'm seeing stuff that the normal average person wouldn't see, but I can't unsee it once I see it. And it, like, I fight my wanting to make everything perfect to make it perfect, and I just can't. I can't spend that much more time on it. I've got to move on and get the car painted and get it to a point where it's a fully functional vehicle again. I had most of the sand scratches from the 80 grit out at a couple spots, like right there, that still have some 80 grit. And I see more pinholes. Yay! That I got most of the 80 grit scratches out. A lot of these pinholes, I just couldn't see them anymore because there was so many different colors of filler, and then also the raw fiberglass. I just couldn't see them. I just ended up having to spray it last night, even though I knew I was going to run into pinholes. This, getting them where I had like a sheen to it, like an eggshell sheen to it, helped me see all the pinholes. And there was still a crack right here, but for the most part, I think it's pretty decent now, and I think most of it'll block out okay. I'm gonna block this today with some 150 and get it set so that I can. I'll probably have to do a couple of spots on the louvers on the passenger side here. I can see them; they're not quite right. I got a flat spot here, there, and there, and there. They're not quite right. I'm not going to be super picky about how the ends look. I think they look fairly okay. They're not perfect, but I think they're passable once I get them blocked again. If I see something that's, a major issue, I'll probably fix that. Like this one's kind of a little off compared to the rest of them, but overall, they're not terrible. At least on the driver's side. On the passenger side, I can definitely see where there's some issues. It's like I got a crack in this one still, or something. I'm still seeing some minor pinholes, but yay, fiberglass.